talked with multiple individuals that were business owners, as well as current employees and folks that were looking for jobs. And they all had different views on the health of the labor market here. I'm in West Michigan. I'm in a bit of a rural area. However, many of these folks, they were from out of town, business owners in Chicago and Detroit. Well, we were discussing, things as a whole, but man, I'll tell you, the conversation really came back to where you're at in the job market. Employers are having, they don't want to lay anybody else off. They're slowing on their layoffs. However, they're not sure who to hire, so they are not necessarily hiring. Now, the people who were currently employed, they were pretty much satisfied for the most part where they're at, and they were too scared to quit and go to try and find work elsewhere because the third people we talked to who are currently looking for work were saying just how challenging it is to even find work. And that's what we're dealing with here in America right now is that there's really two different job markets. And we're going to take a look at a article from Axios this morning that covers this this bifurcation that really exists and why people are struggling and what it really means. And what we're going to do later when at the end of the video is I'm going to talk about how I'm advising my clients about this and how we've kind of planned for this, but understood like that we were going to get to this point. And we're at a point now where it's the I wanna say is we're at the point where if we were having a duel, a gunfight, we're waiting to see who's gonna flinch first, either the economy or the business, because someone has to make a decision, someone has to go first, and that's where we're at. And for those that don't know, my name is Ryan Howe. I'm a business coach and exit planner that works out of West Michigan around the country. I come here live on YouTube pretty consistently every single day, sharing information I share with my clients, and I hope to earn your subscription. So let's get into this here. Now, as always, links are gonna be in the description here, and this is from Axios from Courtney Brown. Put this together. America has two labor markets right now. And when I say we're waiting for someone to blink, we're going to see in this article specifically what we're talking about. And it's the understanding of what it's going to take to move things forward. Okay. So America's living separate economic realities. Those with a job are likely to stay employed, but those without one are likely to stay unemployed. And again, why it matters. Welcome to the low hire, low fire labor market. Private sector layoffs are at historic lows, even though, like we've just heard, like Microsoft laid off 4%. Big chunk of that was in the gaming community. There's in their gaming division. And we're seeing layoffs are continuing and tech is going through this. However, we're also seeing where businesses are holding on to people longer than they normally have. It's because they're not sure. All the signals are so mixed. Now, let's see here. All right. The labor market surprised in June with a better expected payroll gain of 147,000. That's what we heard, right? That was the top line number. Hey, look at all these jobs. But a whopping 85% of those job gains came in just two sectors, education and healthcare. Hiring in other sectors, including professional and business services, a catch all category for basically white collar jobs, was little changed, the government said. So, in the world of professional services, there isn't much going on, but businesses are afraid to either, again, to hire people, they're also afraid to let folks go because they don't know where the economy's at. When it comes to education and healthcare, though, they're definitely continuing to hire. That continues the frozen job market trend that has plagued the economy in recent years. The trend is exacerbated by the rise of AI as employers experiment with how to make their workforces more productive, which is what's happening. There are within my clients have struggled on letting people go as we implement and integrate more AI because we're finding work for those folks that have the enterprise knowledge. However, there are absolutely layoffs that are happening because of that. But we're also not looking to hire other folks too. It's this weird mix that we're in. And I'm sure those of you again, you're watching this here, you're experiencing one form of that or the other, i.e., you don't want to quit your job because there may be another opportunity because you're worried about getting hired or you're not sure if you're even going to stay hired at that other job. And on the flip side of that, those folks that are looking for work, they just can't find it. Now, separate data released this week showed the number of layoffs fell by 188,000, hovering at multi-decade lows, but the number of people hired also fell by 112,000 to a rate significantly below its pre-pandemic levels. The number of workers continuing to collect unemployment benefits is at the highest level since 2021, sign that it is taking the jobless workers longer to find a job. Now, one of the things that we look at consistently with my area is we're constantly looking at the Alice numbers in different spots for where people are at. We're gonna go back to article here in a second, but I want to talk about this. We spend an awful lot of time thinking about, okay, where do people where are they at in the job cycle, right? There's typically a seasonality where things are hiring, right? Lots of hiring going on with limited layoffs because you just need people. There's work coming in, and then there's the we're letting everyone go because work isn't coming in, right? So there's firings are happening, and we're also not hiring. Well, now we're at this point where we're just down here, where no one's getting hired, but we're also not really firing anybody. And this is where, again, when I talk to my clients about this is what it looks like when the labor market is finally finding some level of equilibrium. And what I'm advising my clients on, and we're going to talk a little bit here in a minute, is hey, if we're in an equilibrium state when it comes to employment right now, it doesn't feel like it, especially if you're looking for work. What that means is there's going to be opportunities within the market itself, right? Because everything's balancing out. So that means something's not getting done somewhere. So we're going to have opportunities to go find that. That's what we're currently looking at with a lot of my clients. Now we're in a complex job market. It's not falling apart, but it's the lack of the dynamism, the lack of churn, and the lack of hiring has been punctuated in the first half of the year. The ADP chief economist Naylor Richardson. Many employers are loath to lay off workers, which we talked about, until they see the whites of the eyes. Like they want to see, they don't want to let anybody go because of the recession. They need to see it's happening. Because if they don't have people in place, they're gonna miss out on opportunities for business. So we're in this, like, status quo thing where we're not necessarily in a level of growth, but we're not necessarily in a steep decline. Um, and we're gonna talk about the '70s here in a second, and I think more you're gonna hear more and more about this here. The bottom line, if you only look at how many Americans are losing their jobs, this appears to be a pretty terrific labor market. If you look at how many are being hired for new jobs, it's the weakest in years. The big thing here is gonna be how does it get unstuck? And that is the part where we're working on here. All right. So, what we haven't heard from the either from our elected leadership, from any of the economists, from anyone is that I'm waiting for the phrase to come back. This malaise, right? It was from the '70s where they just talked about with inflation being in a certain spot. We went through inflation, but we also had jobs going on. So, it wasn't quite the same thing. Pay went eventually started catching up. We're at the cycle now where, okay, is this the best it's going to be? We've gotten AI in, we've made cuts here. Businesses are doing all this thing to try and be more of productive, yet nothing is really catching. Like there's no like put it here. I want to say stuck per se, but it's just the wheels are turning. We can't get any traction. And what my worry is and what where my concern is with the economy as a whole, again here in West Michigan around the country, is specifically what's it gonna take for us to get traction? And we don't know what that catalyst is going to be. So right now, again, with my clients, we're actively just looking around different sectors and we're trying to figure, okay, what's going to be the thing that is going to get traction within the economy that is then going to, basically kickstart everything. And right now, you don't see it necessarily in ad spend. You don't see it in manufacturing and productivity. You see it in, I mean, healthcare and education are never going to be um, the catalyst. They're just not. It's not going to be the thing. We see housing is slowing down. There's all of these things where things are just kind of settling. And that is one of the most dangerous places to be in for a business because you don't know where to put your capital. So my advice to everyone, this means everyone out here who's watching, unless you have a few trillion dollars to spend to focus and get the economy going here, try to stockpile as much capital as you can. Save money where you can currently. If you're in a business, make sure that you are paying your people appropriately so you don't lose that talent and stockpile as much as you can as far as cash so you're ready to deploy capital when the green shoots do actually start happening with this economy. Because like I say, we're just kind of stuck in this melee's, this mud where nobody really wants to spend money because they don't know where to effectively deploy, right? Let me give you an example here, okay? Think this may bring it home for a lot of folks that aren't sure what I'm talking about here. So let's say let's go to something. We own a hamburger joint, right? We sell American style food, right? Burgers, fries, drinks, etc. And we know that we need, our fry machine is just kind of there. It's going along, but our fryer, it does need to be changed at some point. However, it's working just fine for right now. We don't know what receipts are going to look like, and we know we should spend money on the fryer. However, we don't see the sales happening. So, our right now we're stuck. Do we take the capital we've been saving up and put it into a new fryer, knowing we're eventually going to need it here soon? Or do we hold on to that in case something else comes up to where maybe we need to hire some more people or there's, we don't know. So rather than investing in that new fryer, we're going to hold on to that money. And that's what's happening across the entire economy right now. People don't know, business owners and management, leadership teams don't know where to deploy capital. And that's what we're stuck with until we start to see something break loose here and really start moving. We're going to be in this job market I can see right now for the foreseeable future. Okay. So with that, if you are currently looking for work, one, you have to find a way to stand out. I would spend as much time as I can trying to just talk with people and get and do your networking. Don't assume that anyone is going to, because hiring is happening, but don't assume they're going to hire people, just random people that are sending in their resumes. You're going to have to do some networking, going to have to get in, shake some hands, and just talk to people and get to know folks. That's going to be in your local area. Spend some time at those networking events. Business owners, hire where you can. The what I don't want you to do is get caught flat-footed by only being staffing to where you're currently at. There's going to be a turn in the economy. It's going to happen. It's going to happen quick. We don't know if it's down. I don't think it's going to be. It shouldn't be too terrible. Could always be worse. The risk is more to the upside. So if you have the ability to hire some folks in and get them trained where it's in this steady state, consistent work that's going on, that's probably a better way to train them and get them ready for when the economy does turn on. Again, they just passed that huge two whatever trillion quadzillion big beautiful bill or whatever. It's going to take about 9 to 10 months for that capital to be deployed. So you have that much runway, all right, as business owners. That's kind of what we're looking at. All right. So with that, I appreciate everybody who hung out this long. Again, if you're a business owner who is, let's say you're maybe 15 years away from selling, you might be 5 years away from selling. Do you know the value of your business? Do you actually know what it's priced at? And I would venture to say the vast majority of business owners, they really don't know what the value of their business is. And that's where I come in and I help clients figure that out. I use the value builder system and I offer in the description, go check this out. There's a free link, it's about 13, 15 minutes to fill out. You go fill out that survey, this assessment, and it's going to give you your score on 8 key drivers for business value that you have control over and that I work with my clients on to help them get their businesses not just ready to sell, which is what we want to do. I help them build businesses that are cash printing machines that buyers pay high multiples for. All right. So again, down in the description, you go check it out. There's a link. It's for my free value builder assessment. 10, 13, 15 minutes. Go check it out. All right. For everybody who hung out this long, I appreciate y'all being here. Hopefully I earned your subscription today. Take care and